Episode 2 of Paul Nairn.
There you go.
Nailed it.
Fishing?
Yeah, let's fish. Let's fish.
What do we got on the end of the line?
We've got the old chubby Chernobyl, small little olive rubber legs, and then a soft tackle pheasant tail on the bottom. And then when you first cast in, just mend that line to your left, kind of as soon as it lands. Just because yep, perfect. If you hold your rod a little bit higher, that'll help too. Yep. So Paul, you grew up in New Zealand.
New Zealand, yes. The trout fishing capital of the world.
Of the world, not the trout fishing capital of Georgia.
World famous in Georgia.
A little different.
Yeah, New Zealand, mate. It's a beautiful spot. And I feel grateful and privileged for... did you see that?
With the fishy?
I feel grateful for having grown up there because of the opportunities to do this kind of stuff and just access to the outdoors.
Dry fly eat.
All right.
That's not a bad way to start the morning.
That's what we like. A conversation interrupter. It's a pretty fish.
Mr. Brown trout.
Oh yeah, she's pretty. I didn't even realize that was the dry. I thought it was just the indicator.
Came up, smashed it.
Thank you, fish.
Thank you, little buddy.
As you were. Go about your day.
Don't tell your friends about us.
Yeah.
What age were you when you first started fly fishing in New Zealand?
It's a good question.
Nice.
I guess when I first started with a fly, I was probably what we call
Set. Oh, bottom.
I was on the back of a boat trawling, and well, it's not trawling, it's harling, dragging a wet fly through a lake.
Nice.
On a fly rod, you know, that you would use on a river. Lake Rotowiti was a place we used to go when we were really young, and you know, Mum and Dad would be on holiday with us in school holidays, and us two boys would be up at we wouldn't be sleeping all night long. We'd wake Dad up on his holiday at 4 a.m. saying, "Come on, it's time to fish." So he'd take us out all morning, you know, fishing and rowing us around, and
oh, that's great.
it was a great way to start the day and spend every day of your school holidays, for sure.
Did your dad teach you how to fly fish, or
yeah,
was it just kind of a part of life?
he did do a lot of that, but it was mainly on the lake.
Yeah.
The river stuff kind of came later on.
Nice.
With schoolmates, actually.
Yeah.
And just teaching ourselves, and you know, about what we needed to be doing, the gear we needed, and
Were you would you catch trout on the lake or something else?
only trout.
Nice.
Back then it was the only game fish in New Zealand in freshwater were trout, rainbow and brown trout. There's a couple of pockets of brook trout where I grew up, actually.
Nice.
But yeah, mainly rainbows and browns. Now people have introduced catfish to that particular lake I'm talking about, which
Really?
is, I don't know, highly illegal for a start.
Right.
And they've done a lot of damage to the ecosystem
For sure.
as a result. So there's some pretty pissed off people. And who decided to release catfish
Such a
into this
drastic
lake in the
change
first place?
in fish. You have a perfect area for brown and rainbow trout, and someone brings catfish.
Yeah. I don't know. It just seems idiotic to me. But me and my mates would, like, before we had our driver's license, we'd be getting up and meeting each other on our bikes, not motorbikes, push bikes, early in the morning before the sun's up, and riding an hour and a half, 2 hours out to our favourite river and spending the whole day out there. This is when we were like 13, 14 years old.
Yeah.
No mobiles back then. Which is great. You disappear for a whole day and not be able to, no one could reach you.
Once your flies get down here, go ahead and min to your left again and try to let them keep drifting a little bit further down. Would y'all do any like camping, like fishing trips or anything? Or?
Yeah, heaps of that. And one of our dads would always drop us off on Friday night to whatever campsite we'd chosen for the weekend, and then come pick us up on Sunday, and the dads would take turns doing that.
That's awesome.
We'd probably do it, I don't know, it seemed like once a month.
That's great. Is it just like
over summer?
Kind of like forest, national forest type land, or?
No, farmland and national forests as well, but there were some areas that some good fishing rivers would run through that we really enjoyed, and that would be in the middle of farmland.
Oh, that's great.
And like in New Zealand, no one owns the waterways,
Got it.
It's a thing called the Queen's Chain, they call it, I think, still, which means the public has access to waterways, which is really nice. If you have to access the waterway via someone's property, you go ask for permission,
go
obviously.
Lift that rod up a little bit and then min to your left. There you go. Didn't you tell me one time about, like, in some of the public land, like if you were to hike, up into the forest and stuff, you would basically make a reservation, and it's free, but there's like almost like little cabins or huts you can camp in or something? Yeah,
so you guys have the US Forestry Service here. We have the equivalent of that being the Department of Conservation, and they, a long time ago, built a bunch of what we call huts in the woods, so little small cabins. And so it used to be just free. You just go up and, it was first in, first serve, according to who got the bunk beds. Otherwise you're on the floor or sleeping out on the porch or something. But yeah, they provided and maintained all of those facilities, and they were kind of dotted every couple of hours, walk, along the network of walking trails, walking tracks through the national forests and national parks that we have. But now it's a user pay system just to help with the maintenance. Like,
got it.
Depending on the facilities that the huts provide, like some provide gas cookers and have really nice, facilities.
That's great.
That might cost you $10 a night. Versus $5 a night if it's just, a bunk bed and nothing else provided.
Yeah, for sure. Nice.
Is it a better one?
Maybe
it might be the same one.
And then pull that line from behind your hand instead of in front of it. So pull down here. There you go. Yeah, nice. Maybe smaller.
Still pretty though.
Pretty little guy.
We'll take it.
You mainly fish like dries out there, or like what's your
dries
setup?
and nymphs.
Yeah.
But yeah, we would utilize those huts a lot, because we were hunting as well. As soon as we were of age to get our firearms license, we were taking, high caliber rifles up with us, and we also had our driver's license. So 16 years old, 4 boys just driving up into the mountains with high caliber firearms.
Living the dream.
Living the dream, and fire rods, and we've just chased fish and deer around the mountains and have a best time, eh? I don't know what Mum and Dad were going through
Yeah.
while we were away, but God bless them for
where's
letting
Paul?
us doing it. It was pretty cool. We would spend a lot of time doing that, and that was something I would rather do than anything else.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I had mates
absolutely.
that would be hanging out in town and getting up to mischief because they were bored, and I just didn't have any desire to be following suit, you know. I just wanted to be at the river fishing or in the bush chasing animals around.
For sure.
Uh,
What is it about fishing that you love, like outside of obviously catching the fish is fun, but to me it's always interesting talking to people about, you know, we talked about it kind of in the last episode of Brandon, just the disconnecting from your phone and, you know, not being in front of a screen and just kind of the peace of being on the river, you know what I mean? Which I'm sure in New Zealand is even amplified. The beauty of the water. And
I think you know, you've hit the nail on the head. It's just about being, you know.
Yeah.
Like it's hard having this conversation,
right.
and trying to, you know, focus
Yeah.
on the task at hand.
Yeah.
Which is why we go fishing, so we can just zone out and just
Yeah.
watch that indicator and wait for the strike, you know.
I love fishing with people, and I also really enjoy fishing by myself because you can just,
What's so
just
neat?
the peace of quiet of just the disconnect is the best. Nice.
It's so meditative.
Yeah, and if you pull from down here,
Yeah.
and then try to leave a little bit of that fly line out of the end of the rod, that'll help you too. A little bigger. Rainbow.
Number 3.
He ate the rubber legs. I was just in Charleston, South Carolina last week, and was hanging out with the surf instructor, and we were just kind of talking about, you know, she was asking about fly fishing, and, you know, we're talking about surfing, which I'm awful at surfing. I've never done it in my life and tried when we were out there. Did not come easy to me like I hoped. But she was kind of saying the same thing, you know, it's just with surfing it's kind of similar of, you know, the same way that you're presenting a fly or whatever, you know, they're reading the waves and just, you know, I feel like half the time you're surfing, you're kind of just sitting out in the ocean waiting for the right wave to come along. And in the same sense, it's kind of the, you know, just disconnecting and being more a part of nature, and just that simplicity of not feeling like you have to be running 100 miles an hour, you know?
Yeah, and again, it's another meditative activity to do, you know?
Absolutely.
And that's another reason why I was attracted to surfing, I think, because you do sit out there and you switch off and you focus on the task at hand.
Yeah.
Even if you're sitting there waiting for waves to come in, you're always scanning the horizon looking for that swell.
Yeah, I need a second chance at learning to surf.
Yeah, but I mean, the first thing aside from fishing that got me up into the mountains, into the wilderness, was hunting and chasing deer around. And like for a number of years, the deer over there, not like...
Nice. That was a quick eat.
It's not like here, they kind of stand around and look at you for a while before they decide to take off. But New Zealand, you know, you'd be lucky if you see something most days.
A little better one.
Ah, it's a good fish. So, you know, I spent 3 or 4 years chasing deer around before I actually knocked one over.
Yeah.
And I knocked one over and it kind of shook me to my core.
Right.
I went through the range of human emotions, from, you know, being elated and excited and finally achieving this goal, right? Shooting it was a stag too, or a buck. Did you guys call them? But
Stag sounds cooler to me.
I realized that I wasn't there to hunt or kill.
Yeah.
I was there just to be in the mountains and get away from
For the experience.
everything else, you know. And that's the same with fishing. There, that kind of changed to catch and release. compared to, when I first started going camping with my schoolmates, everything that we pulled out of the river that was of size, we kept.
Dinner time.
So at the end of the weekend, we'd have like 12 fish, and like a couple of them, had gone off because of the summer heat and all of that. And we're like, what are we doing? But, you learn these things as you go along, especially when you got no adult supervision out there telling you otherwise.
That's one thing I've always respected about, a lot of people that fish or hunt that, that do either keep fish or, harvest a deer or whatever it is the respect you have for the process of nature and the attitude of like being grateful for the meal that it provided, or you know what I mean, like.
And I think there's a unfortunate misconception about hunters and fishermen, about being having a bloodlust and wanting to kill. But I've never met a group of people who are so conscious of their environment and conservationists, because they know the animals, they know the habitat, because they have to be able to fish or hunt for them.
Absolutely.
And when you do have that level of knowledge about something, you have a respect for it, right?
All right, now that we're moving a little bit, you can just cast right back out here instead of up. Yeah, and then min to your left. Perfect.
If you're a meat eater, the stuff doesn't grow on supermarket shelf, eh? And it comes from somewhere, so I'd prefer to know where it's coming from. And if you get the opportunity to take that, there's some satisfaction in there, man. It's a primal thing. It's a man thing, or a lady thing, Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna slide us over here to the right. We'll fish more in the middle now. And then these trees behind you will start to kind of come in play. So we'll start like closer to the boat, and then we can work our way further out. Yeah, I feel like that's one thing we've kind of got away from just as a culture in America, is like, there's food on your plate, but a lot of people don't really think about the process or where it comes from, you know what I mean? And I feel like hunting and fishing kind of puts that in perspective a little bit, and again, just kind of helps you respect the process of it. All right, you got a tree behind you again, but you can go ahead and recast, and then right here you'll actually min to your right, just because that water's slower that's close to us.
You want me to go out further?
No, that's great. All right, then you go ahead and do one more cast on the other side of that log right there, just so you don't get hung up. Yep, that's good. And then min to your right. Yeah, min the other way, just because it's water here.
Sorry.
Slower. No, you're good.
My other right.
Yeah, and don't be scared to cast closer to the boat. Like, let this one keep going, but on your next cast, like, some of those fish will hold in even closer to the boat than that. Set. Nice.
Get him over here so he doesn't disturb the big guys. Quieten down, little fella. Yeah, and
Feisty little rainbow.
I think now that, and as you understand, because you got a little guy as well, but having my first little guy, like, I can't wait to be getting him into these activities.
Oh, for sure.
And teaching him about this and helping him understand that, the complexity of life and how it all comes together, and the food chain, and that we need food as human beings. And I'm not much of a vegetarian or vegan whatsoever, but it's my belief, my feeling, maybe it's just personal preference, that humans are designed to eat a certain amount of protein that's derived from other plant eaters.
And too, just talking about, having a little boy, it's like, so many of my memories with my dad that are like some of the best memories I've had were usually, standing in a creek or on a boat or in the woods somewhere.
But you're right, mate. Those memories, the most memorable times are the ones that kind of relate to the outdoors and camping and being away, you know?
Oh,
Whether it was
absolutely.
with family or friends.
I mean, my favorite memories of a kid is camping and fishing. It's just hard to beat.
Yeah.
Kind of with just kind of culture in a whole, you know, right now, so much of life is based inside in front of a computer or screen or just go, 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 go. And it's like, you know, I feel like humans were meant to be outside, at least to an extent, you know what I mean? And
For sure.
It's
Not
just
sitting in front of a computer.
It's a bummer that
10, 12 hours a day.
we've gotten, you know, so far away from that. I've always said, you know, like when I go camping, I feel like I sleep a lot better. And me and Meg did a road trip up the East Coast fall of 2018. We're gone for, I think it was 16, 17 days, and we just camped the whole time. And, you know, you get in that rhythm with the sun of kind of, you know, the sun goes down, you're tired from the day, you're ready to go to bed, and then the sun comes up, you wake up and you feel refreshed and amazing. And it's, you know, with screens and phones and all that now, it's like you kind of miss the, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're kind of not in the circadian rhythm. Or
And you've usually, if you're out doing something like that, you've chucked in a good hike or something, you know, a good bit of physical activity.
And then actually just waking up and going to bed with the sun. I mean, it's been a long time since I'd felt that good.
Yeah. Well, we try and sleep now, even with the curtains open in the bedroom, you know?
Yeah.
Even though, you know, sometimes if it's been a rough night with the kid,
Right.
it's like, let's get these curtains closed, so the sun doesn't wake us up in an hour and a half time. What about you? When did you start fishing?
My dad got me a fly rod kind of in my early teenage years, and I just fell in love with it. You know, I grew up bass fishing with my dad and stuff, and that was a blast. But again, just going back to the first time I went fishing with him was on a small creek in North Carolina, and just that being in a body of water that's moving, and you know, the sounds of the, you know, the bugs, the trees, the creek, it's just so therapeutic and so just
Hypnotic.
Yeah, you know, it's almost like if you're feeling kind of empty or low or down, it's like it fills that tank back up, you know what I mean? It's just,
Yep.
You know, and again, you're on a pursuit of something, right? You're you know, what flies am I using? What tip am I using? What setup am I using? What are the fish eating? Like, you know, you're doing all that, so you're, you know, it gives you the sense of accomplishment and satisfaction. But, you know, again, the main thing is just disconnecting. And, you know, I mentioned it with Brandon, just being somewhere where you don't have cell phone service for a few hours or for the day is so nice, because I feel like people don't realize how much it's just constant bam, 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 like nonstop, you know. And
just information overload.
Whether you're checking Instagram or an email or whatever it is, it's just literally, you know, if you're not aware of it, it just can be literally all day long.
Yeah.
And then
you get lost.
Turn the TV on or whatever. It's just literally nonstop. So having that time carved out to where you can really just almost press reset, and I feel like it's really important. And then also feeling the benefits, you know, from a mental standpoint or even physical standpoint of just like, you know, kind of metaphorically just, and I guess literally, you know, just taking a breath, you know, you just getting away from the chaos of everything and giving yourself a chance to just decompress and not be just go, go, go all the time, you know. That's one thing with camping for me that I just absolutely love.
Right.
You know, you get out with some friends or even on your own just for a couple days, like those couple days can do wonders of just quiet and nature. You know?
It's all you need sometimes. And even doing this, you know, just a couple of hours out on the river, or, you know, taking a hike somewhere, just getting out away from it all, turn the phone off, leave it in the car.
Yeah.
It's all you need sometimes, man.
And going to, like going to a new river, exploring new water, that side of it is adventurous in a way, it's just, it checks so many boxes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Time to wake up, Paul.
Is it? Oh, here we go.
Nice. That's what the alarm was for.
Yeah, time for a fish.
Tell the fish to eat. All right.
Knew I wanted to get out and live in a small town America at
Right.
some point, but I didn't know where or when that would happen.
Yeah.
But you kind of just go with the flow of life, and life will take you where you need to be, right?
Don't go that way, buddy. That's so true. I talked about that a little bit with Brandon too. It's just funny how life will, in a way, kind of, like you just said, just kind of take you where you need to be when you need to be, and
yeah, it's pretty magical that way. I think you got to allow it to.
Very true.
And work with it rather than row upstream. Even though in this case, it got us to some good fishing. I think working with life rather than fighting against it is all important.
Yeah, that's good.
But we love Blue Ridge, man. Blue Ridge has everything I like, minus the beach. Obviously, I like to surf, and I just enjoy the beach environment.
Man, I being in Charleston last week, I love going. If I cannot do like hot weather, so it's like if I'm at a place that's hot like that, I'm like, I got to be in water. I got to be in the ocean or something. Oh man, I don't know how people do it.
Yeah.
The year-round thing, you know what I mean? I'm like, whew. I'm out there for 2 days. I'm sunburnt.
Yeah. Well, you're just acclimatized, eh?
Yeah.
And like it might take a little bit of time, but if you're living on the beach, there's something so cathartic about that. Like living in the mountains, being on the river as well,
And just the sound. I mean, if you can be somewhere where you can hear the ocean all the time, that alone is just...
Yeah. So, I mean, even though we're missing that here, and it's a bit of a drive to get to the nearest one.
Right.
We've got some pretty nice natural environments around that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Offer us that kind of recharge or opportunity to get away.
I can try that one more time if you want to.
Oh,
nice.
He's still on it.
That's hilarious.
He didn't even know he was hooked.
Yeah, he
was like, holy crap.
All right. Add that little spot to the list of holes.
There's some deer up there, look.
Mm-hmm. A baby swam in front of us down here a week or two ago.
Really?
Yeah, tiny. I mean, it was maybe 20, 25 pounds. It was tiny.
How'd that thing know how to swim?
That's why I was like, they know how to do it.
Yeah, it's kind of like they're born with these instincts that they can do anything, right?
Oh, yeah. That's one piece of advice a guy gave me before we had our son was, he was like, kids are designed to survive. Like, all the things, you always hear people, they have their first kid and they're worried about every little thing. By the time they have their second or third kid, the kid's like eating dirt in the front yard.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's been helpful for me because, you get all concerned about all these little tiny things that it's like, they're just fine. They're going to be just fine.
Yeah.
That's all right.
I agree. It's fun. Yeah, I've heard that as well.
All right, cast a little more ahead of the boat, just a little further to your right. Yeah, that's good.
I think it's kind of a strategy we're trying to take as well, without, putting them in any danger.
I heard
too much description.
a quote one time about kids that was basically like, let them try dangerous things in a safe environment, in a sense. You know what I mean? Like, give them the opportunity to make a choice where, it's not going to be the end of the world if they make the wrong choice, in a sense.
Yeah. Well, you think about when we were kids, mate. Like, you'd be gone all day,
Right.
outside all day,
I remember, climbing 60, 70-foot trees.
And falling out of them.
Parents weren't even around.
Yeah. Literally, that's some of the memories I have from childhood, of falling out of trees, numerous trees, going bang, bang, bang.
Nice, on the dry.
On the dry.
Like to see that. He came off the dry and got hooked.
How did that happen? Is he foul hooked now?
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Absolutely.
Oh, shit.
Bye.
See ya. What a slippery guy.
That was just a lot of things just happened.
Yeah. But yeah, man, like, the number of trees, of high trees that I fell out of and would hit branches all the way down. Thankfully, hitting branches all the way down. Otherwise, it might have been a different story, breaking my fall. And then, finally hitting terra firma and just lying there winded, just going, gasping for breath, thinking you're dying the first couple of times. I definitely want to try and adopt that strategy to my parenting that mum and dad had, and I appreciate.
All right, recast a little further to your left now. Yeah, that's good.
I appreciate them for their parenting style and letting us do all of that.
Yeah.
And having, confidence and trust in us to do the right thing and not be complete idiots.
Nice.
Ooh. Oh, sorry, mate. Nearly yanked your face off.
We need to keep that up.
It's exciting. What's your favorite freshwater sport fish aside from trout? Is trout your favorite?
Oh, I mean, yeah, like obviously is most like fly fish are just those big browns, figuring those things out.
Right.
That's what's cool on the Toccoa, you can catch those fish on, size 20, little nymphs and stuff, or, smaller dries, but then, doing those high water floats, kind of targeting those fish with some of those bigger streamers. It's just addicting, man. Those streamer floats I had some guys one time, they had never really done streamer fishing in a sense of the high water where you're just kind of hitting the banks all day.
Yeah.
And one of the guys was like, man, I feel like we need to be blaring like 90s like hip hop. Like, this is so intense. Like, and in a sense, when you're
NWA guy.
yeah, when you're fishing like that, the water's moving faster, everything's just happening, a little bit faster, and it's a lot more active because you're hit the bank, strip it 5 to 10 feet off the bank, recast straight to the bank the whole way down the river, and in a sense, it feels more like you're hunting. You know what I mean?
Yep.
You're kind of targeting just that one little area, and I would say 90% of the time when you're fishing like that, you're pretty much just targeting those bigger ones, and just getting that like kind of predatory or reactionary bite out of those fish. And even if you don't stick them, even if you just see one, follow it, or roll on it, swipe at it, like all that stuff to me is like, it just is like, it's in a sense, it's like, the therapeutic side of trout fishing. You're throwing your dry and letting it drift, but that side of fishing is almost like an adrenaline rush. Like, you see one of those 20 plus inch browns follow your fly out or
fast
swipe
and hard.
at it, it's just like,
yeah, right.
You know what I mean? That's such a rewarding way to fish. It's a blast. You put in a lot of work, and you may only get a couple chances, but when it all comes together and it happens, man, that's fun.
Aside from trout,
Man, freshwater, I would say probably, I don't know, smallmouth are a lot of fun. Just any kind of fishing and fun to me, honestly, in general, is just,
Right.
Figuring out how that specific species operates, what they eat, where they usually are going to be, how they act in different times of the year. Or,
Right.
It's just, in a sense, I feel like that's probably, I guess, just fishing in general, but to me specifically with fly fishing, that keeps me really interested outside of the just being a nature side of things is it's always changing, you know what I mean? It's different times of year, they're going to hold in different types of water, they're going to be eating different stuff, and just kind of, always figuring, each day on the river's different.
Yeah.
What worked yesterday may not be doing as well the next day. Like,
Right.
I've had so many times where you may go out and catch 20, 30 fish, and the next day, you're floating the same stretch and maybe need to change flies up because the fish the day before either saw your flies or, you know what I mean? Like, just, it's always kind of keeps you on your toes a little bit, which is fun to me. And I know I mentioned this with Brandon, but you're always learning. Like,
Right.
there's,
You don't want to be guessing, do you?
Right.
You want to be informed and
Right.
like know how to step it up if you need to.
yeah, I mean, it's, there's days where it just doesn't happen, and, there's different factors that cause that, but nice. Ooh, he missed it.
No. Oh, that was me.
You're good.
But at least you're on the river.
Right. But like you're saying, knowing what types of water to fish in the season, and, if it's wintertime, you're not going to be fishing the same water you're fishing in the, the spring.
Right.
So, eliminating the guessing factor out of it, like you said. And then from there, if something's not working that normally works, you try something different. And,
Right.
and in a lot of senses, when you experiment, you end up learning something new, and you're like, it can kind of be a new ace up your sleeve in a sense. Like,
Yep.
fishing wasn't great one day, so you tried something different, and then all of a sudden something worked really well, and you're like, all right, well, next winter,
Yeah.
I'm going to remember that and try that again.
Yeah.
To me, any great angler, just in general, to me, none of them ever have the attitude that they know everything. There's always more to learn. Especially you go to a new river you've never been on, it can be a very humbling experience if it's drastically different than, what you're used to. And
Yeah.
I always try, I don't always do a good job of it, but on every trip, I try to at least take 5 to 10 minutes out of that trip to do something different than I did the day before, because you get so used to just, fishing the exact same spots, similar fly, you know what I mean? So I try to do stuff, where,
Like
all right,
what?
last time we fished this on the left, let's try the right today. Or,
Right.
Just to try to not do the exact same thing, and, again, just learning. Like that hole we just tried up there, like, there's a little bucket, let's hit it. And it's like,
Yeah.
cool, there's a fish.
And rivers change as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
So
absolutely.
you kind of need to change with them. You change with the environment. Otherwise, you could be missing out on opportunities.
Nice. Love when fish do what they're supposed to do.
Love a good fish who's playing along. Come on, fella. Come on through.
Thanks for coming out and fishing today, man. Super nice talking to you and catching up, and obviously always love being on the water with you.
Thank you for having me out.
It is the best.
Best way to start the day, man.